first started at Zappi, merch was very much messy, particularly being spread out globally. If we were going to do some sort of mass employee like holiday gifts or even mass external thing like holiday gifts, it was always pretty messy because if it was ordered through London, everyone in London would get it really quickly, but then it would take forever and a year to get to all the other places, or the shipping would be crazy expensive. So we onboarded a different company, and I won't go into details, that we thought would solve some of those pain points and seemed like it would sync with Salesforce and make it an easier process. But there were a lot of hidden costs, and it still wasn't really leading to a smooth global experience. It became so obvious we needed this to be a clean process, and people were no longer in their offices anymore. So we couldn't even send out holiday gifts without something like Reachdesk that allowed us to send a link where they could enter in their addresses. And, we can't house that information. And being a UK-based company, there's so many regulations that go above and beyond even what we have here in terms of having people's addresses and all that. So we really needed a system that allowed us to do that, as well as had warehouses in various parts of the country, as well as could sort of take that sourcing and cost analysis and all of that off of our hands. Meanwhile, we were going through some initiatives that, are now fully stood up, but we were starting to stand up around then at the company to become carbon neutral and, be eco-friendly and everything. And so we also needed a company that was able to help us source, eco-friendly options and really compare what different suppliers were doing that didn't necessarily just work with, the two suppliers they work with that may or may not meet those needs. And I mean, there's the two ends of sustainability when it comes to merchandising. There's where we're actually sourcing from and where the materials for that are coming from and the supplier side. But then there's also the shipping, the actual shipping emissions and all of that. So having somewhere that had warehouses pretty much everywhere we're shipping to and can source locally into those warehouses. I can say firsthand from the experience that we had prior to joining Reachdesk into actually joining Reachdesk and having been involved in those conversations on both ends and having been promised fairly similar things at the front end, Reachdesk stands out just miles ahead. The one thing that really stands out, other than, just they're great at communication and being on schedule for things, was the one time we had an issue with a shirt that got printed wrong. And they handled it so quickly and seamlessly. I feel like a sign of if they're really in your corner is how quickly they deal with things when things go wrong. And how that makes you feel at the end of it. And it was just I wasn't even frustrated by the end of it. And that usually doesn't happen when something goes wrong. I was like, great, okay, on to the next. I would definitely suggest anyone that is sending anything globally, whether it's that their team is spread out around the world or their clients are spread out around the world, to work with a company that also is spread out around the world and is able to actually handle global merch send. Work with someone who has the process figured out on their end already to streamline it so that if you want merch to, be on the same level of quality and also arrive at the same time and also cost around the same amount for everywhere that you're sending it, that they already have that system, set up and they understand how to do that, because otherwise someone's going to end up unhappy. Merch was always one of those things that we would joke about and be like, we can do so many things so well and so easily. And merch always feels like it's a pain point, on the marketing team. And right now merch is not a pain point. And that is very exciting.